Right back to that breaking news this morning. A Wethersfield firefighter was killed in a UTV crash while battling that large brush fire on Lamentation Mountain. And we just learned within the last 15 minutes that Governor Ned Lamont is now directing that all American and state flags be lowered to half-staff across Connecticut. We do have team coverage breaking down everything we know right now about the tragic accident and how the victim, firefighter Robert Sharkovich, is being remembered and honored this morning. Let's begin in Berlin, where Eyewitness News reporter Marcy Jones joins us now live. So, Marcy, how did this heartbreaking situation play out?
Good morning, Roger. Well, it's definitely a somber morning out here. We're out in front of the Days Inn parking lot, which has really been serving as the base camp for first responders. Now, in addition to fighting the fire, they're also battling through their own grief after losing one of their own. Now, according to officials, this all took place yesterday afternoon. That's when the crash happened. 3 other Wethersfield firefighters were taken to the hospital after their UTV rolled over on the side of the mountain. They've since been released and are expected to be okay. However, 66-year-old Robert Sharkovich, a volunteer Wethersfield firefighter, sadly did not survive his injuries. First responders from all over are calling this an immense loss, one that will be extremely difficult to navigate.
It's our worst nightmare, especially, for a brush fire. It just goes to show that this job, no matter where you are, whether it's inside of a structure or out in the woods, is dangerous.
Now, the fire is still burning, and a red flag warning has been issued for most of the state. Reporting live in Berlin, Marcy Jones, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Marcy, thank you. Our team coverage continues now in Wethersfield, where the entire community is grieving the loss of a fallen hero after volunteer firefighter Robert Sharkovich again killed on the line of duty. Eyewitness News reporter Olivia Schuler joins us now live from outside the Wethersfield Fire Department with more on what we're learning about this dedicated first responder. Good morning, Olivia.
Roger, good morning. Well, this morning the community is mourning the loss of a parent, grandparent, and first responder. 66-year-old Robert Sharkovich, Sr., served most of his life as a firefighter. Sharkovich, known to many as Sharky, is a retired firefighter with the Hartford Fire Department. After his retirement, he volunteered with the Wethersfield Fire Department. He was a pillar of this community, serving in law enforcement and in the public school district. The Wethersfield Schools Superintendent Michael Emmett shares that Sharkovich worked in the school district as a physical services carpenter. Emmett released this statement saying, in part, quote, "Words cannot express the magnitude of this loss. I offer the Sharkovich family our deepest condolences and wish them peace and comfort during this difficult time." Sharkovich was honored by his brothers and sisters in law enforcement. Several hours ago, first responders met outside the medical examiner's office in Farmington. This morning, that's where Sharkovich's body is. The procession leading to the medical examiner's office included police and fire crews from dozens of cities and towns across Connecticut. The lifelong firefighter will be honored again in another procession. We know in the days to come, Sharkovich's body will be escorted from the medical examiner's office to the funeral home. Now, at this time, funeral arrangements have not been shared with us. As soon as we do have them, we are going to share them with you. Now, the Wethersfield Public School District says they will have counselors on hand for any students and staff who are grieving. We're live in Wethersfield. Olivia Schuler, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.